Matthew Arnold is the second great critic after Aristotle. It is not like that there were no critics before Matthew Arnold. In fact, there were a number of critics that played a significant role in pushing the canon of literary criticism to a new level of greatness. But here is an interesting point to note. Every critic was trying to defend the poetry from some kind of attack. Be it Philip Sidney, P.B. Shelley or someone else. They were all trying to defend the poetry from some kind of attack. For example, Philip Sidney defended poetry against Stephen Gosson, and P.B. Shelley's criticism too was some sort of defense against the attack of poetry. Matthew Arnold was the first person who laid down some rules of criticism once again after Aristotle. He started working on laying down the principles of criticism later in his career. Some studies say that he became a critic when the poet in him was no more there. In fact, Arnold too had an opinion that criticism is somewhat inferior to poetry or creative writing. And after stepping down from a poet to becoming a critic, he laid some principles for critics to learn the art of criticism. Matthew Arnold was a passionate poet, and his poetry too were deeply connected with the faith. If you have ever read Dover Beach, you cannot ignore the fact how much this poetry is associated with faith and emotions. With the same passion and zeal, Arnold stepped into the already established domain, literary criticism. In this field, he came out with such theories and principles that he began to be known as critic's critic. He was not only the first person who critiqued Shakespeare's Hamlet as an incomplete work of art, but also he remarked Chaucer for not being a great poet, as Chaucer lacked high seriousness. He put forth a popular method, touchstone method, in order to critique any work of poetry. This method is elaborated in his work, The Study of Poetry, published in 1880. In this work, Arnold says that it is only through poetry that we become capable of understanding a higher dimension. In order to understand life in a great depth, we must turn towards poetry. Without poetry, our science will remain incomplete. According to Arnold, a poetry cannot be judged based on historical estimate and personal estimate. What did he mean by historical estimate is that judging a poet's work based on literary history. He gave an example of ancient poet Caedmon, who was a great poet of Anglo-Saxon age. But we cannot compare Caedmon with the great poet John Milton. The French Romance, Chanson de Roland too had the freshness and great quality, but it cannot be ranked with the epics of Homer. Homer is Homer, and you cannot compare Homer with anyone else in the history. If a poem would be judged, it should be judged on the real estimate and not historical estimate or personal estimate. And now what did he mean by personal estimate is that our own personal likings should not become the basis of critiquing a work. If we allow our own personal likings to interfere a work or to interfere a judgment of a work, then we may underrate or overrate a piece of poetry. The historic estimate is likely to affect our judgment towards ancient poets, while our personal likings may affect our judgment when dealing with the contemporary poets. The only way to judge the poetry is through real estimate. For Arnold, the ideal ancient poets are Homer and Sophocles, and the ideal modern poets are Milton, Goethe and Wordsworth. This was a UGC NET question where the question was asked that who were the ideal poets for Arnold. The answer was Milton, Goethe and Wordsworth. Now moving forward in the touchstone method, Matthew Arnold says in order to judge a poetry, a critic should compare it to the passages taken from the works of great masters of poetry. Arnold gives some passages with which we can compare the works of new poets with the ancient poets. For example, in order to judge a new work, compare it with the passages from John Milton. Matthew Arnold suggests one or two passages from Paradise Lost, Book 1, which is the passage starting from "Care sat on his faded cheek." Or you can compare with another passage beginning from "What is else not to be overcome," that is mentioned in Paradise Lost, Book 1. You can also compare the new works of poetry with the passages of Homer and Sophocles. These ancient poets will work as a touchstone for the critics in order to judge any work. And now, in a nutshell, touchstone method is an approach where a critic can judge the new poets by comparing them with the ancient poets like Homer, Sophocles, or with the modern poets like John Milton, Dante, or Wordsworth. And now with this we come to the end of our video. If you have any query, drop your questions in the comments below. I make sure to resolve all your doubts in my upcoming videos. If you're new to this channel and have not subscribed to this channel yet, then don't forget to subscribe the channel for more updates on English literature. So that's it for this video. Thank you.